what on earth does LT stand for? It stands for long tail, and long tail is not the name of some exotic Amazon bird in one of David Attenborough's shows. No, the long tail actually harkens back to some of the racing cars that McLaren built around about the 1997s. And those cars had elongated rears to give them more downforce, and a couple of other things made special to them. Fast forward a few years into the future, and LT is now attributed to some of the special cars by McLaren that are very powerful, very quick and lightweight. Something along the lines of this. Absolutely vicious. This is the McLaren 765LT. Gosh, I get confused with those numbers. 765LT Spider. This car screams drama from the roof that it doesn't have on now until you get to its belly. It's just a manic thing. If you haven't seen the videos that we've made on the 765LT Coupe, then you can watch them. Click up here for the standard one, which this is also, and of course then the Novitec versions, you can click up here as well. This car still stock standard, so what you see here is what you get when you buy it straight from McLaren. As with everything else about this car, it screams to do two things: downforce and cooling. And that's why you see these massive air intakes in that very distinguishable LT front lip over there. That air being chased right through, over, underneath and wherever on this car to cool it and to create downforce. Right behind here you can see actually the innards of the car, radiator waiting there for some fresh air. These fins here reminiscent also to what we've done on the F8 and Largo, and we've taken that car into the wind tunnel. If you want to see that video, click over here. You see how this actually aids the distribution of the airflow and also getting rid of the hot air inside the wheel compartment coming from friction of the tire and the brakes. Here in the door, which beautifully opens like this, you have sort of an air pocket, not an air pocket, an air curtain where that oncoming air from the front gets chased down the side at the bottom there in the sort of side sill. And they say that pocket specifically, that intake over there, reminiscent of the 675LT, of course. I am totally in love with this. Let's take the camera to the rear and see what the butt looks like. And then of course we get to the rear of this car, which is the hoorah factor. It looks so sick. This big wing making a world of a difference. Absolute bonkers. The heart of this hoja, this beast sitting right over there. Lots of mesh happening. Of course, the sort of disconnected diffuser that we know from this LT. It just looks so stunning. All of this screams aero, and all of this is actively working very hard in keeping this car absolutely planted, especially this piece over here. It's just a gorgeous thing. We've got a couple of carbon fiber pieces over here that are standard when you get the 765LT. McLaren says this is one of the most powerful LT Spiders that they've ever built, and we can understand that because they use the same engine as they do for the Coupe. That 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 flat plane crank motor sitting right behind my spine over here close to the chassis. And they meant business when they made that engine. I mean, they borrowed a couple of things from the Senna, the lightweight forged aluminium pistons, and then cam followers have got a distinct little coating, almost diamond-like in its behavior. That's something that we first saw in the McLaren P1. Ooh, little pop at the back. And then also it's got a whole new fuel management system. Serious business. When you're driving this car, that's not where it stops. It's got two low inertia twin blade turbochargers with electronically operated wastegates that pretty much eliminates any turbo lag that you might have. And there isn't, because it just surges. Oh, it is one of the most relentless cars on the planet. Straight out bonkers, and now you chopped its head off, and that made it even more bonkers because that visceral experience of what's outside is now yours on the inside, and it is just awesomely mental. Even at low speeds, you have so much torque. I have clearly forgotten how absolutely mental this car actually is, and we're talking about the standard version. We're not talking about the Novitec version, which is going to come your way in a couple of weeks. But do bear in mind that we will be making a film on that one, and it is going to be just one of the most frighteningly fantastic things that you're going to experience on this channel, because that car is frighteningly fantastic. 765 horsepower, we all know that it's more than that, come on. 800 newton meters of torque, all to the back tires via this 7-speed flappy paddle gearbox, which I really have to praise McLaren for just putting the intuition into it so that you can shift backwards and forwards with one hand. How cool is that? I mean, just like it, and unlike in the 720S where you have 7 gears, 6 of them operating most of the time doing the hard work, and the 7th is like an overdrive, this car utilizes all of the 7 gears in order to achieve its top speed of 330 kilometers per hour. It is just epic, epic, epic. So we are off onto one of the smaller little side roads, our favorite little bits and pieces. Oh man, just how this car deals with these little bumps. It's fantastic. I was worried a little bit that the suspension of this car would make it feel a bit more disconnected, because it is a roofless car. As is most of the time the case when you drive a car without a roof, you have to put in some extra scaffolding to make it solid. But McLaren has definitely not let anyone down in that department. I can promise you that. This car is as stiff as a... We're going to compare it with the 720S LT Spider, because that's ultimately what this car is the predecessor of. And in that case, it's 80 kilograms lighter, which is a huge number if you're talking supercar territory, as you would know. Most of that thanks to the use of carbon fiber, and then obviously that really cool looking mesh that you see at the back of the car. It's not just design, no, it also has a function in order to make this car weigh even less. Oh, it is just absolutely brutal, this, but it feels so sturdy. The steering is phenomenal. Really have to give them a total bonus on that. I mean, it's got the same electronic hydraulic steering that you have on the 765LT Coupe. And of course, the front of this car is wider, and it's got a stiffer torsion bar. So in that sense, it just feels so nimble and so placeable and so accurate, and heaps of power. Jeepers, brother, this is another level of madness. Easily one of the quickest cars out there. If I have to complain about a couple of things, one of which is the rear wing that you have. I know that you don't have a lot of rear visibility through this, but that wing, when it stands up, you will not see anything unless it's a truck or a bus driving behind you. Then the sound system, it just looks so tacky, it looks plasticky, and I don't know why they put that in here, because the interior is laced with beautiful lightweight Alcantara. I mean, they pride themselves in making this a special place, and because these cars are limited, 765 of them, and because they're not going to be out here anymore for a long time, since this is the last combustion only cars that we're getting, then this is a timeless interior. I don't care if some people have said, oh well, you know, it's kind of growing old. It's not going to grow old if it's in a car that is an absolute epic, timeless piece of machinery. And these seats that are based on those of the Senna, I am yet to understand how McLaren gets it right to get you seats with such little padding that are so supportive and so comfortable. They've just made it right in this car. Yes, like it. Oh man, I thank the Lord that they have included carbon ceramic brakes into this car. It's just so much needed, and it rides and grips and it accelerates like a mother. Wow, flooring this car is just, you have to be a little bit out of your mind to do that, which I have to agree I am. It's such a well-balanced car, that engine sitting right behind my spine, so direct, everything is just so direct. It is a riveting drive, and of course a lot of the padding that you have between the engine and the noise and the person sitting behind the steering wheel, they've just disposed of that. They said, no, this is an LT. It's meant to be mental. And it is. Oh man, braking into a corner, the nose tucking, and then that back wing just doing so much work with the braking, yes, but also in keeping you on the road through the corners. The balance between what it does when you're driving it hard, even under hard braking, even under hard acceleration, is really, really something that McLaren has gotten so right in this car. So I reckon you've understood by now that this car is exceptionally quick, that it deals with things in a very balanced and proper fashion. You can't just switch off the traction control because it knows that you're probably going to end up killing yourself. So there's no button to just switch it off and then that's that. You've got to do a bit more in order to have that done. And I'm super grateful for that because this car is lethal. It's a weapon. You got all that power coming to you just through the back wheels. I don't know the wizardry that they go about to make that happen without you ending up kissing your RIP cross. Where the performance is brutal! This stays and it remains and it will forever be one of the all-time greats. This is one of probably the last combustion-only cars that we are getting from McLaren. Something that we need to appreciate, something that we need to cherish, because pretty soon it's all going to be a combination of combustion and hybrid. Things are going to silent down and eventually it might even evaporize into nothing, into, hey, my electronic noise is better than yours, or mine can play a game while I'm sitting in traffic. Who cares when you're missing the acceleration, the craziness of what this visceral experience is handing to you? And in that sense, I have to say the 765LT, whether it's the headless one or not, it remains one of the all-time greats. Absolutely fabulous car. I tip my hat, McLaren. I tip my hat. If you guys haven't yet, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you hit that little notification bell. That way you're going to be informed every time that we upload a new video, which is most of the time on Sundays as well as on Wednesdays. We do POVs of a lot of our cars as well, so you can see those where we do it on the Autobahn that is unrestricted. We also have Instagram, so you can follow us there, Novitec Group, or you can follow me personally at Beyond the Call. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us and we'll see you then.